So for my final presentation, I chose Zim Kilgore as the photographer that I will be presenting on. He is a photographer based out of San Diego, and I was able to get in contact with him to ask him a few questions to get a little bit of insight on his work for this presentation. His goal as a photographer is to inspire others to think differently. He encourages his peers, models, followers, and really anyone who gives him any sort of artistic attention to really go against the grain, express themselves, and to truly allow themselves to be free creatively. While his photography could be considered dark to some, Kilgore is really trying to use this media to express our inner emotions in a positive way. He rebels against the idea that our internal emotions are a negative trait in any sense. He rejects the notion that we should allow our inner demons to hold any sort of power over us. Hecate is the first photo of Kilgore's that I discovered. And anyone who knows me knows I'm an extremely lighthearted person, but the attention to detail in Hecate is what really caught my focus. The dark paint on the model's body, the deep red color of the water, those dark branches going up, the circle light creating an almost demon-like set of horns on the model. It was all so incredibly moving to me. It really touched on my inner emotions, or perhaps what some would consider inner demons, in such a creative way that it felt okay to be in touch with this darker emotional side of myself. In Virulent Lagoon, his use of darkness and light to create a scene that really exposed these raw emotions really had me questioning why, as a society, we view these inner emotions as negative or dark. And also, this bright pop of yellow in the photo puts a creative spin on a scene that may otherwise be interpreted as dark. Kilgore values creativity above all else. Using his photography as a platform to express feelings and share it with others is the ultimate reward for him. A lot of his work could be considered dark to some, but when I asked him if he personally considers his work to be dark, he responded with a simple no. Rather, he describes his work as moody or emotional. Kilgore really understands that there is power in emotion, but he believes that there is a limited amount of emotion that you get from a human face. With the additional use of colors, props, and immediate surroundings, he is able to take a feeling and turn it into an entire world of its own. While a lot of his photos are posed, he is truly giving his models the power to express their own complex emotions and achieve inner fantasies through his work. He plays with light, colors, props, and darkness in his work to express deep feelings and emotions. His art is literally an expression of emotions present in that moment. His work is never planned, it is built that day. It takes hours to create and only about 10 minutes of actual shooting. His work is very visually stimulating with a fantasy-like aesthetic that gives his models the power to express their dark desires or emotions without the fear of rejection or stigma. He does have a lot of work that is heavily based on fantasy and is photoshopped as such, but I chose his less drastically edited photos as they move me the most. Photos are a universal language of our era. We use photography to document the present and also to remember the past. I chose Zim to do my presentation on because his work not only allows for creative expression for all, but he is also tearing down the societal walls that have been put up for women. I love Kilgore's work because while he is expressing all these emotions in the moment, he's also helping setting a better path for our future. He is showing the world that it is okay for everyone, especially women, to express themselves both creatively and emotionally in any way that they see fit. He rejects the idea that women have to be passive, pliable, and perpetually innocent. He encourages both his models and his peers to expand their minds and to express their deepest desires or emotions and to truly embrace them. Kinbaku is an interesting piece that felt very sexual to me upon first seeing it, which is exactly what this image is. It is a sexual scene where the model is playing out a dark fantasy. I love Kilgore's ability to expose the dark desires in a safe, creative space, it is extremely inspiring to me. And Nebula is probably the second photo that I have seen of Zim, and his attention to detail all over the photo, especially around her eyes, really drew me in. There's so much going on in this photo, but the model is calm and poised, and while she is naked, her eyes demand attention from the viewer. Zim is encouraging others to open their minds and to be real with what one is feeling or experiencing. And creating that small scene and exposing it to the world is allowing us to more freely talk about these emotions and be a little bit more in touch and okay with these dark emotions that everyone feels from time to time. He said, "If you can imagine it, you can create it." His work is truly significant to me because he encourages everyone to be unapologetically themselves. He pushes people to embrace and to appreciate their dark side and emotions and to talk openly about them, to create less of a stigma so that society as a whole can be a little bit more comfortable with something that is naturally human. Society has a tendency to label people, especially women, in negative ways for embracing natural human traits. Sexuality, inner demons, odd thoughts, feelings, and emotions. We're often shunned for feeling these things or openly expressing these things. But as humans, we all have, to some degree, a little bit of all of these things, maybe a lot of them. By using photography to expose and appreciate these things, he's doing his part to remove the stigma on embracing these unspoken emotions and feelings. He understands that not everyone is going to appreciate his work or enjoy it. That's part of art. But his photography is pushing the societal boundaries and letting people know that it's okay to feel these emotions and express your true self. Everyone should feel okay with being open and honest about who they are. His work shows us that we don't need to fit into society's labels. And that doesn't mean that we're any less human, that we're dark, or that we're other to what society considers normal. It simply means that we are living, embracing our quirks, our sexuality, our feelings, and our personality. Thank you.